Please tell us where you're joining from and thank you for joining. Yeah, welcome. Thank you for joining. Every week, we take one big business story and ask a simple question: what can ordinary people learn from extraordinary companies? Over the past few weeks, we have talked about NVIDIA, the company making the chips behind artificial intelligence. We have talked about Amazon, the company building the infrastructure powering the digital economy. We have talked about Google, the company making billions by giving us free services. Tonight, let's talk about another company that completely changed our daily lives: Netflix. But before I mention Netflix, let me ask you a question. How many of us remember watching NTA on Friday nights, or waiting all week for your favorite TV program? Maybe you grew up watching Super Story, Papa Ajasco, Tales by Moonlight, or the Sunday evening movie. You couldn't decide when to watch. The television station decided. Meaning that if NEPA took light, you missed it. If you arrived home late, you missed it. There was no replay. There was no rewind. There was no watch later. That was life. Then, technology quietly changed everything. Today, your children don't ask, "What time is the movie starting?" Instead, they ask, "What should we watch tonight?" That simple change created one of the biggest companies in the world. Tonight, let's discuss how a small problem created a billion-dollar business. Have you ever paid a fine for returning something late? Maybe a library book, maybe a rented item. Now imagine paying a fine because you returned a movie late. That's exactly what happened to Reed Hastings. He rented a DVD, returned it late, and he paid a penalty. Most people will simply complain, but he asked a different question. What if people could watch movies without worrying about late fees? That single question eventually became Netflix. Business lesson number 1. Many successful businesses don't start with brilliant inventions. They start by solving ordinary frustrations. Think about Nigeria. Why did mobile money become popular? Because carrying cash wasn't always convenient. Why did hailing apps become popular? Because finding reliable transport could be stressful. Why do food delivery apps exist? Because people value convenience. The biggest business often solves small, everyday problems. When everyone thought DVDs would last forever, Netflix changed that concept. In fact, Netflix originally mailed DVDs to customers. It worked well. People loved it. Money was moving in. most businesses owners would have relaxed. But Netflix noticed something. Internet speeds were improving. People wanted instant access. Imagine if Blockbuster, the dominant DVD rental company, had realized this earlier. Instead, Blockbuster believed DVDs would remain king. Netflix believed streaming would become the future. History proved Netflix right. Business lesson: the greatest risk is assuming today's success will last forever. Ask yourself, if you own a shop today, could technology change your business tomorrow? If you are a banker, could artificial intelligence change how banking works? If you are a teacher, could online learning change education? Change usually arrives quietly before it becomes obvious. Let's look at the day Netflix changed our habits. Let's think about our homes. Years ago, the whole family gathered around one television. Everyone watched the same program. Today, your son may be watching football on his phone. Your daughter is watching cartoons on a tablet. Someone else is watching a movie on a smart TV. Another person is watching YouTube. One family, four different scenes. One company helped make that possible. Netflix didn't just change technology, it changed human behavior. And businesses that change behavior often become extremely valuable. Now the question, why do people pay Netflix every month? And that is something very interesting. Remember, Google makes money from advertising. Netflix makes money differently. Netflix says, if you enjoy our service, pay us every month. Simple. Now, let me ask you, which business sleeps better at night? A business hoping customers come tomorrow? Or the business that already knows millions of customers will pay next month? That's called recurring income. Think about examples around us. A gym membership, cable television, internet subscriptions, monthly rents, insurance. These businesses don't start from zero every month. What is the business lesson? If you can create a business where customers continue receiving value month after month, your income becomes more predictable. Now, why did Netflix start making its own movies? At first, Netflix depended on other movie studios, but then they realized something important. If someone owns the movies, someone else controls your future. So Netflix invested billions in producing its own content. Why? Ownership. Think about this personally. If you build your own knowledge, nobody can take it away. If you build your own brand, nobody owns it except you. If you build your own audience, that is an asset. The same principle applies whether you are running a global company or a small business. Now, what does this mean for Africa? Let's bring this story home, because I don't just want this to be just another story about an American company. I want us to ask, what lessons can we apply here? First, don't ignore change. Many Nigerian businesses disappeared because they assumed customers will never change. Second, invest in yourself. Technology changes, skills remain valuable. Third, create value consistently. Notice something. Netflix didn't become successful because of one movie. It became successful because it consistently delivered entertainment people wanted. The same applies to us. Whether you are a banker, a teacher, a farmer, an entrepreneur, or a content creator, people remember consistency. Permit me to share something. A few weeks ago, I had never hosted a live stream. I was nervous. I wondered whether anyone would watch. Today, we have completed several episodes of this series. Why? Because consistency beats perfection. If I waited until everything was perfect, episode 1 would never have happened. Netflix wasn't perfect on day 1. Google wasn't perfect. Amazon wasn't perfect. They improved one step at a time. The same applies to us. Tonight wasn't just about Netflix. It was about something much bigger. The world keeps changing. Technology keeps changing. Customers keep changing. The companies keep changing. The companies that succeed are often the ones willing to change before everyone else. So I leave you with one question. If your industry change completely over the next 5 years, will you be ready? Thank you for joining me on another episode of The Business Behind the Headline. If you learned something valuable tonight, please like, share, and invite someone to join us next Sunday. Because next week, we will uncover another fascinating business story and the lessons behind the headline. Good night and God bless.